We spent 2.5 days at the Grand Teton National Park in the Jackson Hole Valley of Wyoming. We wandered through the town of Jackson, drove all over the valley in search of wildlife, saw some old settlements, did some hiking, saw some of the Grand Teton's beautiful lakes, caught the sunset, and our daughter was able to join us for this trip. So let's get this adventure started. We drove 274 miles from Twin Falls, Idaho to Jackson, Wyoming, and we took the long route through Alpine to avoid the steep Teton Pass grade. And I think the extra 30 minutes it takes is definitely worth it. This way into Jackson is so beautiful and scenic.
I'm setting the sun, I'm ready to run, I'm walking a tightrope. I can give you the fall, spring, singing a song, we're taking the high road. We're taking the high road. We're finally awakened, we're taking the high
Our first stop was the Jackson Hole Airport to pick up our daughter. And it is the only commercial airport in a national park, and it was Wyoming's busiest airport in 2019, which is kind of surprising because it is tiny.
the high road. We're finally awakened, we're taking the high road.
We then backtracked a little bit into the town of Jackson so we could look around and, of course, eat.
Setting the sun, I'm ready to run, I'm walking a tightrope.
Apparently, like the airport, this little town is busy. The area around town square is very cute and rustic looking, but don't let the appearance fool you. This is a high-dollar resort town. We made a really quick stop at the iconic $1 Million Cowboy Bar just so we could see their famous saddle bar stools before we went a few doors down for some lunch. We love the food at Local. Their cheeseburgers are the best burgers I have ever had. I really wanted to go to Moose for dessert, but every time I've tried to come here, it's been closed. So I've officially given up on them.
And Tuesdays.
So instead, I tried a few bakeries, and they were both good, classic bakeries, but the food I will obsess over is that burger. We didn't spend a lot of time shopping because it is very pricey, except maybe for these fun things.
I will follow rivers to oceans today and tomorrow.
So with our main goal of a delicious lunch at Local completed, we headed into the national park and to our campground at Colter Bay. This little village area has it all. Along with the campground, they have a visitor center, general store, gift shop, restaurants, cabins, and a marina.
Pulling into our campsite. And he's watching us. The deer is judging Matt's parking ability. Our campsite at Colter Bay in the Grand Tetons. The way they have these campsites laid out is a little weird and not very private, but the site we got has a lot of trees and wilderness compared to the others, so I'm pretty happy with it. There's a bear in our neighbor's campsite back behind those 3 small trees. You do?
Yeah.
Where? Through this tree. Oh, going to the other campground now.
What better time to go for a walk than after seeing a bear? I mean, we did have a short trail in our campsite that leads to Jackson Lake, so we had to take advantage of it, and we hiked, and I use that term loosely, out to the lake. The water level was really low while we were there, but it's still a beautiful lake at the base of the Tetons. Day one schedule isn't as bad as it sounds. We start off making our way to Schwabachers Landing with a few stops along the way. Then we head over to Menors Ferry district, followed by a hike on the Taggart Lake Trail. Then we head over to String Lake, with the rest of the day open to whatever we discover. We woke up really early in the morning to catch the sunrise. First at Willow Flats Overlook. And then further down the road is one of my favorite places in the park, Oxbow Bend.
I am writing down everything I see, tracing my steps back till I
Turn right onto Schwabachers Landing Road.
and I'll chase until it's in front of me.
Our next stop was Schwabachers Landing. There is a lot of driving time when you explore the Grand Tetons. Everything seems so close on the map, but it is so spread out. So I hope you don't get car sick very easily.
With a golden ear following my path through a rearview mirror.
There wasn't much to see this time, but last time when we were here, we saw our very first moose in real life.
Swim every river, every sea. I will brave the great unknown till my heart is finally
And there was even a mama and baby moose just a little further down the road.
often pondering and always asking why stop, don't worry.
But so far, no moose for us this year.
Hand in mind, truth in tidal waves, surface.
Teton Park Road rejoins the Ventre Park Road 20 miles north.
Even though I research and plan these trips way in advance, I still love using touring apps like Just Ahead or Gypsy Guide because they give you additional information and history on the area that you're in, and in the unlikely event that I miss something, they will give you suggestions on different stops. This area is called the Menors Ferry District, and it's where William Menor made a homestead in 1884. And he built a ferry that allowed settlers to get across the Snake River to this part of the valley, charging 50 cents a wagon and 25 cents a rider with a horse. Maud Noble bought the ferry and the property in 1918, and then raised the price to cross it, until 1929 when a bridge was built, making the ferry obsolete. This was also where a secret meeting was held to turn Jackson Hole into a national park.
Swim every river, every sea. I will brave the
This church is what I really came to see. It looks so humble, but looks so grand with those mountains in the back. Our next stop is one of the many hikes to one of the many lakes in the Grand Tetons. The Taggart Lake Trail is only 3 miles out and back, although it felt a lot longer, but it is a beautiful hike with some amazing views.
Oh yeah, yeah.
On our way to our next stop, we got caught in a wildlife jam. These traffic jams are fairly common, and they're a sign that you need to pull over and have your binoculars ready.
And they're invaluable for wildlife.
Is it just a
They
deer?
provide refuge and shelter for elk and bands of pronghorn.
It's a
If you're
pronghorn.
here at dawn and dusk, look for animals grazing on grass.
Our next stop was String Lake, which is part of Leigh Lake, and we have something special planned here. And it's not eating PB&Js with bears. We brought our own paddle boards so we could paddle around and see the lake and the mountains from different views.
What the? Why don't you stay on your knees?
There's also a walking path along String Lake that will take you to Leigh Lake, and there's a lot of really pretty beach areas. This is definitely one of my favorite places in the Grand Tetons. When you leave Leigh Lake, there is a really pretty scenic one-way drive for 3 miles along the shore of Jenny Lake. We will be getting a closer look at Jenny Lake a little bit later. And now with all our scheduled sightseeing done, we have time to drive around and look for some wildlife. And here's another one of those telltale signs along the road, and this time it was something more elusive. A moose, and not just the bull, but there was also a cow and a calf. And don't worry, I wasn't that close to them. and I had human shields around me.
That was the beginning of tourism in Jackson Hole.
And there's more wildlife on the road. Bison are another very common animal in these parts. What we really wanted to see were some bears. And we actually did spot a grizzly all on our own, but we were so busy helping the other cars that were pulling over to see it that we didn't get any photos or video of it. So instead, here's our video from 2020 of the grizzly we saw then. On today's schedule, we are going to watch sunrise at Mormon Row and then hike Jenny Lake to Hidden Falls and Inspiration Point. We had to wake up extra early again for this one, but sunrise at Mormon Row is a must-do photography spot in the Grand Tetons. I also really like this drive down Ventre Road. It has been a really great place for us to spot pronghorn. Further down the road, we came across some elk. And because we're here during rutting season, the male elks are more aggressive and they bugle, which makes things a little more interesting. Do normal people have favorite fields? Because I do. This field off of Teton Park Road and Cottonwood Creek is my absolute favorite field. Our next stop is at Jenny Lake, where we are going to hike to a waterfall and then take a rugged, steep trail to Inspiration Point. Before we even got out of the car, we had a wildlife sighting. A cute little fox wandering through the brush. This is the beautiful Jenny Lake. And every time I see one of these reflections in these lakes, it looks unbelievable. If you don't want to do the whole hike, there is a ferry you can take across the lake to get closer to the falls and Inspiration Point, but we decided to hike there to increase our chances of seeing wildlife.
This is really pretty.
Now for the harder part of the hike. That's where we are heading, up there where the people look like ants.
The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? touching the stars, holding on oh so tightly. Making my plans, taking a chance, leaving it all behind me. Never the same, riding my way, turning my dreams up louder. Chasing that spark, out of the dark, running to the final hour. There's only one place to go, the best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? Wake up, wake up.
The hike is definitely worth it once you get up to the top here and see the amazing views of the lake and valley, as well as the closer look at the peaks of the Tetons.
Wake up now. Wake up, wake up. We can get this started. We can get this started. There's only one thing I know. There's only one place to go. The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? The best is yet to come.
The way back is so much easier, especially when you take the ferry. It runs every 10 to 15 minutes and eliminates the 2-mile hike back to the parking area. It costs $10 one way or $18 round trip, and you still get great views. Maybe even better than from the hiking trail.
The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? Deep in my heart, touching the stars, holding on oh so tightly. Making my plans, taking a chance, leaving it all behind me. Never the same, riding my way, turning my dreams up louder. Chasing that spark, out of the dark, running to the final hour. There's only one place to go, the best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? Wake up now. Wake up, wake up. We can get this started. We can get this started.
Back on land, we drove 5 miles up a narrow winding road to the top of Signal Mountain.
All right, good choice. It looks like you're going to take in the great view from the top of Signal Mountain.
Oh jeez.
This could have been done better.
Yeah.
This road made my daughter very nervous, even though her mother is an excellent driver.
Just let us through. Oh my god. You're pretty close.
Good.
That's what I want.
From up here, you get a completely different look at the valley below, of the Snake River and Jackson Lake.
Turn right.
We are going to go check out the old J.P. Cunningham Cabin, something only I'm interested in doing. My family really couldn't care less about this stop.
All right, let's go have a fantastic time.
Where's this house? I don't know.
I see no house.
I don't see house either.
John Cunningham built this cabin in 1888 during the Valley's homesteading era. It was interesting to me to see that he built it in an Appalachian style that we saw in the Smoky Mountains called the double pen. And he lived here until 1895, when he then turned it into a blacksmith shop and a barn. And now to watch sunset at the Snake River Overlook, where Ansel Adams photographed the river and mountains in 1942 for the National Park Service, making this view very famous. The view's changed quite a bit since that time, and I am also no Ansel Adams. So that's it for our time in the Grand Tetons National Park. We will be moving north into Yellowstone next, so hopefully we will see you there.
They're all gonna chase it, huh? Okay, I don't know what I was thinking, but I kind of need bear spray. I think Matt has both of them. There's people behind me now, thank goodness, but they have children. They gotta protect their children, not me. He's in line for the boat. Is he gonna beat us here?
Oh my god. I'd pick him.
Being such a Disneyland person, I associate so many things to Disneyland that I see in real life, including this mountain, which to me looks like the Matterhorn.
That's so funny. I'm like, for some reason that looks like the Matterhorn to me, and Mike Land's like, I've been thinking that the entire time. And then you just said it.